Hey guys, Level Cap here, and welcome to This Week in Gaming, your weekly news update on everything going on in the world of video games. And this week, Arc Raiders got a new item that could really shake up the meta. Highguard got its first update following a disastrous launch. GDC revealed some frightening data about the game industry, and much more. Arc Raiders got a fairly run-of-the-mill update this week at first glance, but if you take the time to read the patch notes, you'll see that it adds a major new item. The Mark III Safekeeper augment lets players store any item in their safe pocket, which prevents those items from being lost when killed. Safe pockets in Arc Raiders have been limited to non-weapon items only. This augment could really make tougher raids a bit less punishing, and it also gives you essentially a free third weapon slot for your loadout. Another new item added with this update was the Tactical Mark III Revival augment that gives you a reusable defib on a 4-minute cooldown. The bulk of the patch was focused on a new solo versus squads matchmaking option and a new map condition for Buried City called Bird City that adds additional trinket loot and, well, more birds. Unfortunately for players of both Arc Raiders and the finals, they were hit with a major DDoS attack this week, knocking services offline. Highguard launched to an insanely negative reception this week. It started off with thousands of overly negative reviews in the first several days after its launch. Since then, it has recovered to a mixed review score with over 23,000 reviews, and it seems like more players are sticking around a little bit longer and leaving more positive reviews overall. But some complaints do seem to be universal. Performance issues and a lack of direction with the game's overall design are major problems. The game did get a patch with some good quality of life improvements though. It now has an FOV slider on console, toggle options for ADS and crouch, several tweaks to the video settings to ensure more consistent visuals across all settings, and several bug fixes. They say a performance focus patch is in the works. Now, I also made a first impressions video this week, and while I agree that it's got issues, ultimately I walked away from the game not entirely hating it, but also being fairly perplexed by exactly what they're trying to achieve. It seems like they tried to do a little bit of everything and nothing particularly great, and unfortunately the player base has dropped from about 100,000 on the day it launched on Steam to around 8,000 concurrent players, and that's a pretty steep drop off. I'm sure there's more players on console and other platforms. It's possible that because this game has such a weird, different genre or style to it, that it just needs some time to find its actual audience, but we'll wait and see. The next GDC convention is kicking off in March, and leading up to it, the organizers have been conducting surveys with the developers who are attending. One of the notable surveys they released this week is startling. Of the 2,300 industry people that responded, 33% in the US reported being laid off in the last 2 years. And while that is a fairly small data set, so expect some errors in that figure, even the idea of 1/3 of US game developers being laid off in 2 years is insane. Just imagine 1/3 of a workforce being let go in any major industry. 28% of respondents outside of the US also reported being laid off in the same time period. The deeper you dig, the more bleak the data gets, with 48% of respondents saying that they were still looking for work after being laid off for over a year. In some brighter PC gaming news, there could be some big improvements in store for gamers down the road. Bazzite, which is one of the most popular Linux-focused distros, just announced a new initiative called the Open Gaming Collective. Their goal is to centralize and optimize all the patches for Linux that are being worked on to make gaming on Linux a better experience. Essentially, it means that improvements made to individual distributions like Linux can more easily be shared and integrated with other distros and even the main Linux kernel itself. Why any of this is a big deal is that key optimizations and translation tools are the reason that SteamOS is even able to run a game well, let alone running Windows-only games without massive bugs or performance issues. But SteamOS doesn't yet have a desktop release. And while that's potentially on the horizon, once Steam Machine launches, distros like Bazzite will be your best bet for avoiding Windows when gaming on PC. And if anything is going to drive mass adoption of Linux at a user-based level, gaming seems like one of the best bets. So this is pretty big news for the whole industry. Now, one of the benefits of Linux ramping up to be an actual competitor in the gaming industry is that it seems to have finally stirred the beast at Microsoft. Apparently, the company is shifting its priority to winning back customer trust, with engineers focused on improving the stability and performance of Windows 11. The operating system has been widely panned by critics as a bloated, buggy, and underperforming OS compared to Windows 10. It also includes many concerning AI-based tools like Copilot and Recall, which could pose major risks to privacy and device security. Valve are facing a massive $900 million lawsuit in the UK, which is accusing them of overcharging gamers and abusing their supposed monopoly. The lawsuit was originally filed in 2024, but just got approved to proceed this week. It claims Valve uses Steam's massive size to force publishers and developers to not price their games below their Steam listings on other platforms. It also claims that Valve preventing people from buying DLC from outside platforms for their Steam titles is anti-competitive, since it locks customers into buying content exclusively from Valve. They say that all of this allows Steam to get away with grossly overcharging publishers and developers with an initial 30% cut of all game sales. In recent years, the traditional 30% cut has been challenged by many publishers, developers, and most notably, Epic Games, who only charge a 12% cut, and that only comes after the first $1 million in net revenue. A far more generous system, especially when it comes to small indie developers. Regardless of how you slice it, 30% is a steep cut from any platform, even if they provide a lot of additional services on the back end like Valve does. Terraria's first major update in 3 years, version 1.4.5 just launched, and while it hasn't quite achieved the peak player counts we saw when version 1.4 originally launched, it's currently holding at an incredibly impressive concurrent player count. Some new features included in the update are a new world seed called Skyblock that replicates one of the popular Minecraft world concepts of the same name. There's new crossover content with Dead Cells and POW World, new blocks and furniture items to utilize in building, and much more. The original Kingdom Come game might be getting a next-gen upgrade. A listing for a PlayStation 5 upgrade for the 2018 game was listed on the Italian PlayStation Store briefly, saying the game was updated for PS5, featuring a resolution bump to 4K, higher FPS, increased texture resolution, and more. It's unclear if this is just a PS5 compatibility update that will uncap the game's existing options for console, or if it's a genuine next-gen upgrade that'll launch on both console and PC. Rainbow Six Siege is taking a bold leap beyond its own universe with a new operator, Solid Snake from Metal Gear. We only got a brief teaser for the full reveal, which goes live on February 15th, but it's very clearly the iconic Solid Snake character. Siege is no stranger to including cosmetics from franchises outside of Tom Clancy's properties like Tomb Raider, Halo, Resident Evil, Rick and Morty, and even WWE, but this will be the first operator actually from another property, and only the second operator not originally created for Siege, with the first being Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell. If you're looking for an affordable PvP multiplayer FPS with a sci-fi theme and no microtransactions, Out of Action might be the way to go. It just launched on Steam in early access following years of beta testing. It's developed primarily by a solo dev and features some insane loadout customization with abilities including invisibility and bullet time. If you're interested in more info, you can check out this video I did about the game a while back while it was in beta. Otherwise, that's all the gaming news for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.